For the longest time, I thought aux lighting like this on your dual sport or adventure bike was dumb because I didn't ride at night. Turns out, I'm the one who was dumb? Go figure. I was ignorant in many things in my first few years as an adventure rider. One of the things I was an ignoramus about, I just corrected recently with the help of some new friends, and that was aux lighting on dual sport adventure bikes and really motorcycles in general. I seriously thought for the longest time that these were just a vanity thing that looked cool, or they were for people who would ride their motorcycles late into the night, well past the time when a sensible person would have a set up comfortable bed at camp and be 3 or 4 drinks in. Lighting at night is part of the equation and a benefit of this type of setup, but it's honestly more of a fringe benefit or a secondary benefit, because the primary advantage of lights like this is safety and visibility, and I don't think I understood that until recently. So one of the most in-depth recent studies about motorcycle safety and motorcycle crashes is the Virginia Tech study. I'll link to it in the description below, but a few stats from that study. Intersections are the most common sites for crashes. The chances of getting into an accident on a motorcycle increase 41 times when it's an unmarked intersection, 8 times when you're coming across a parking lot or a driveway, and 3 times at traffic signals. What causes these accidents most often? It's the old classic smidsy. Sorry mate, I didn't see you. Ryan F9 Fortnite did a great video on why people don't see motorcyclists and the way that our binocular vision works, but visibility is key in preventing those accidents, and that is one big advantage of a light setup like this. Another very common type of motorcycle accident is getting rear-ended, like at a stoplight or whatever. It's why many of us pump our brakes while we're sitting at a stoplight and traffic is approaching from behind, why many of us watch our rearview mirror all clenched up when we're in those situations, and why traffic filtering is so much safer for motorcycles in the places where it's allowed, because you're no longer in that vulnerable position as traffic is coming up from behind you. The United States is struggling to catch on to that one, but in Europe it's very common for that reason. Turns out aux lighting helps in both of these situations. Let me give you an example. Literally last night, like no joke, I was driving home in the dark in my 4Runner, and I saw behind me what I thought was a car a ways back, but a second glance I noticed that it wasn't 2 single lights, it was 2 lights with 2 smaller lights underneath. So 1, I immediately realized that was a motorcycle. It was actually a pair of motorcycles. And 2, I started speculating about what kind of motorcycle it might be, thinking about the Norden with the built-in design. I was like, oh, maybe it's a Norden. And then when they passed me, it turned out they were Harleys. But that's not the point. The point is, seeing the triangle of lights, I immediately recognized that that was 2 motorcycles coming up behind me, and I gave them the space and consideration for them to be safe. Now, if it had only been 1 motorcycle, that would have been even more effective, because I would have known with the triple light formation that it was a motorcycle and not somebody driving a rusted out piece of crap car with only 1 headlight. That's just one example of how the extra visibility of aux lights can keep you safe. That's just at night. So what I didn't realize is that the primary benefit of lighting like this is being seen, is your own safety. And then the ability to see better at night is just a bonus or a secondary benefit of lighting like this. So I have a couple different setups here. This is the Aurora setup here on the 300L. These are the Pegasus lights on my Yamaha Tenere 700, and on the back I have the Skene P3 on the Tenere, and I also have it on my 450L. And Darryl and Brian were cool enough to come all the way down here from Kent, Washington and install this stuff on my bike after we spent a bunch of time chatting about lighting and other stuff at various events. They're always at the Giant Loop Ride, Touratech, things like that. I've been running this setup for a couple months now, most notably all the way to Vancouver and back for the Critter Moto camp out here on the Tenere, and I will tell you I have noticed a difference in running these lights and the way that people leave me room and seem to be able to see and appreciate that I'm there on a motorcycle. I wanted to put together this review to kind of talk about both the importance of these lights in general, like what they do, and also these specific setups. So like I said, Pegasus setup here, Aurora setup here. The Auroras have a halo light, and then when the bright switch is turned on the 300L here, they have a very bright spotlight, which is probably freaking out the camera, which is why it's not on. So that's a ton of visibility, both see and be seen visibility. On that trip to Canada, we rode up, you know, over 2 days, split up the trip, but Eddie and I ended up riding basically straight back after Travis broke his leg. And so I got home about 11:30 at night, and I will tell you, I noticed a significant difference, both in how much I could see riding after dark on the freeway, but also just the amount of room people were giving me as I was catching up to them, as I was passing them, and particularly with the Skene on the back, the amount of room they were giving me when I was turning or signaling to turn and slowing down. Maybe it's confirmation bias, but to me it sure felt like there was a difference, and a lot fewer cars just sort of appeared out of nowhere like they do sometimes when you're riding a motorcycle because that person didn't see you and give you the space that you need. It just really seems like people are staying farther back, and the only change I've made is adding these lights to the bikes. All of the lights, both of these setups are wired directly into the high beam and low beam switch on the bike. The aux lights actually come on automatically when you turn the bike on, so the headlights are on because they're automatically on a motorcycle, but this is switch off, just turning the key on, you get this stuff. On the Tenere, you have to start it or the headlights don't come on, but these lights are always on. So when I flip the brights on, the aux lights come on to full capacity and my bike's bright headlights are on. So I've got a ton of visibility. I can see a ton. And there's no extra switches, nothing cluttering up your bars. It's a very clean install. The brightness is adjustable using only the controls on your bike, using the light switch. You got to do like press buttons in a certain order. You turn it on, it flashes to let you know it's ready and you can configure it. That applies to both of these. It also applies to the Skene P3. It can all be adjusted with the brake lever. So you need instructions to do that, but you don't need to like plug it into a computer or use an app or anything. You can adjust everything right on the bike to get it set the way that you like it. Let me show you the Skene P3 on the back of the Tenere. So this is the Skene P3. It's these two lights that attach to either side of your license plate frame. It's a single metal bracket, no plastic here. These are rugged, will stand up to abuse, and you literally just screw it onto your license plate bolts. And what these do is several things. One, the camera's probably wigging out and it's not going to capture it perfectly, but they have what's called a conspicuity flicker. And what that does is makes you very visible all the time from multiple angles to all the motorists behind you. This is on constantly like a tail light. Now these are also wired in to work as turn signals. So you can see my LED light here is not super visible, but you're not missing this turn signal. And it's got the flicker even when the turn signals are on. And brake lights. So when I hit the brakes, it lights up like crazy, so it's hard to miss these brake lights. So this conspicuity flicker is there because it causes the human eye to see it. You can't ignore it. It's too sort of annoying and novel. And also it kind of gives your bike like a floating appearance, like it has a sort of pseudo motion. These are incredibly good for being visible from behind, particularly when you have, like on my 450L, I've got an integrated taillight with no turn signals, so it's not very visible. This, however, is crazy visible. This is a super simple way to basically prevent yourself from being rear-ended. And the newer model even has a decelerometer, so you don't even have to hit the brakes. It knows when you're slowing down and will flash to let the people behind you know that you're slowing down. Now, I was lucky enough to have Darryl and Brian come out and set this up for me, but it seemed pretty simple. It's just a matter of tapping the existing wires, and it just depends on what you want to do. If it's just brake lights, you can just do that. There's turn signals, you can add other things to it, and that's front and rear. The good thing is the guys are super helpful, great at customer service, very knowledgeable, and they're local. They are out of Kent, Washington, so you can actually go to their shop and have them install this stuff for you if you're local. Basically, I'm gonna get it set up for the Transalp, and I asked Darryl how hard it is to install, and he asked me if I had a test light and a meter, and I do, and he's pretty confident that even I, an idiot, can do it. So if I can do it, you can probably do it. Like I said, those guys are there to help if you need it, and I feel confident that they'll be able to walk you through whatever it is if you have challenges along the way. Mounting is very simple. Like I said, the P3 here is just one bolt on the back of your license plate frame. You probably already have it. Mounting the lights on the front is as simple as a bracket on crash bars on this one, or it's actually on crash bars on this one too, up underneath. So there's a ton of mounting options, and again, they can help you with that if you just reach out to them. Oh, I should mention the Aurora is actually not available on their site yet for the rally, but if you email or call, they have the setup and they're ready to get it set up for people and send it out to you. You just gotta ask them. This stuff is also very rugged. There's cheap stuff out there. You can spend less money, but like there's a knockoff version of this that has all plastic hardware. This is all metal. Nothing's gonna happen to it, and I know a ton of people that run this stuff and have had no problems, including Darryl and Brian, who I like a ton because they're real riders. They get out and ride. They came down and installed this stuff for me, half because they wanted to come and install it for me, and the other half is because they wanted to ride the Oregon BDR home. They're not screwing around. So there's real riders, real people that are local, not some faceless corporation or conglomerate or a smaller subsidiary of a big corporation. Cyclops is a great company run by cool people, and I highly recommend them. So what's the bottom line? What's my conclusion? Well, I'm a convert. I definitely thought that aux lighting was dumb, I thought it was a vanity thing, and I didn't understand the benefits to safety. The most dangerous thing on the road to us motorcyclists is other drivers, people in cars not paying attention. And so anything you can do to reduce their inattention or increase your visibility is worthwhile and will increase your safety. And it doesn't get more visible than these crazy blinky flashy lights on the back of your bike and the bright lights on the front, not only to make you visible lights-wise, but also to create a different shape so that drivers will recognize you as a motorcyclist and look twice before pulling out in front of you. I think is a worthwhile investment. It's cool that you can see better at night, particularly if you get stuck, you know, riding after dark, you haven't made it to camp yet, or you have to set up in the dark. Sure, it's nice to have those lights, but in my opinion, that's a secondary benefit. The primary benefit is the visibility and safety, and you can't put a price on that. But if you want to put a price on that, I recommend heading over to Cyclops' site this month, November 2023, because you can save 20% on all Cyclops and Skene products over there with promo code DORK in the road. 20% is a big deal. Take advantage this month, November 2023. Their website, cyclopsadventuresports.com, has a huge selection of stuff, TPMS monitors and other products, so pop over, check it out. I'll link it for you. They're very knowledgeable, very helpful people, and Darryl and Brian always have Coors Lights at events, so you know that they're cool. You know that they're cool and you can trust them because they drink the good stuff like I do. But if you've got any questions about this setup, please feel free to leave them in the comments. Maybe Darryl and Brian will pop in. I can try to answer what I can, but I'm no expert on electric stuff, but I have really enjoyed these things, and I think it's a worthwhile investment in lighting, whether you get it from Cyclops or not, but I, with the coupon code, don't see why you wouldn't at least check out their site. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you, and please do not forget to be excellent to each other. Thank you.
Excellent!